Hello everyone, this is David, Fairly Secret Music. Today I'm doing a discography of the band Lifesigns. They are a English progressive band. They started around 2008, but around 2013 they put out their first album, self-titled. Um, Originally, the band was made up of, from left to right, Frosty Beetle, who played drums in Cutting Crew. Um, let's see, who else did he play drums with? Well, that's all I have here on my notes. John Young, who played keyboards with Bonnie Tyler, Green Slade, Scorpions, Asia, and for a while, Fish. And Nick Beggs, who everybody remembers Nick from um, oh God, I am totally spacing. Kajagoogoo. Sorry about that. Uh, so this is a band that I originally heard of, but it took me a long time to get around to listening to them. Their new album is called Altitudes, and that album had a song on the cover disc for a prog magazine. And I put it in thinking, okay, I'll check this out. This is awesome because 2014, or sorry, 2021, I just have been in nothing but a prog phase right now, or not even a phase really, because I've always listened to prog since about 88 or so, um, and uh, I thought, wow, this is going to be a 15-minute song. Hopefully, it's good, and I was absolutely blown away. The vocal melodies were fantastic, catchy, and then there's a spot in that song that just goes really kind of technical playing and but very melodic, very kind. I don't want to say yes-ish, but you know, on par with kind of 70s prog. Uh, and I was just blown away by that one song, and um, I ended up buying the whole discography just on that one 15-minute song. So each of their albums comes with a booklet with lyrics and photos and stuff like that, just so you know. Um, and I would have to say my favorite song on here is Lighthouse, and it's mostly because there's just a really awesome bass line on that song. That's the one that sticks in my head. I really do like Carousel, but I like the live version of it better. And once I get to talking about the live one, you will probably know why. So this one, at this point, they did not have a permanent guitarist. So they had guest musicians, Steve Hackett from Genesis, Robin Bolt, also from Fish. And Robin's probably already done a bunch of other things, but I know him from Fish. Jaco from King Crimson, and Thegis Van Leer, who is also from Focus on flutes. The other three were guitar players. But the one person that isn't pictured on here that deserves a hell of a lot of credit is Steven Rispin, and his production is fantastic. I wish I could get my recordings to sound like this. Actually, I wish I could get my recordings to sound like the live album. So we will move on from this and talk about the 3-disc and DVD set that you get with Live in London Under the Bridge. Again, with the telephone poles or telephone boxes. There's actually a song on this first album called Telephone. I believe they were having people send in photos of old telephone boxes when that album first came around. But I came to the party late. I came to the party after their third studio album was available. And Let's talk about this live album. I have never heard a live album sound so good. Steven's engineering, recording, and production on this is honestly, it's, I would say, 50% of what makes this so awesome. But the other 50% of what makes this awesome is the super tight playing of this band, the amazing vocal harmonies, not only by uh, Frosty as he's playing drums, but by new bass player John Poole, who is also playing all those Nick Beggs bass lines that I'm not even sure what was stick and what was bass, but he is pulling that shit off to a T, and it's fantastic. And then there's a fourth new guy who is Nico Sonnev, Tsonev. He's played with Steve Wilson is the big one out of his discography or his kind of biography that um, I noticed. He also played for. It only says Steve Wilson. So, anyway, he's an amazing guitarist. He's only actually on this live one, and he doesn't stay until the next studio album, which I was kind of disappointed. But when I heard the guitar playing on the second studio album, I realized that was okay. You know, you move on and you have another amazing musician to take your place. But on this, just oh my god, I've never since I would say Gentle Giants playing the Fool has there not been a live album that I think is worth uh, kind of praising above any of the studio albums, because Playing the Fool by Gentle Giant is one of my favorite live albums, and I think it is the best thing that Gentle Giant has done. Um, I I love this. I do. Let's go on to the next thing. Um, one last thing I was gonna say. Carousel. I will say the guitar part at the beginning of Carousel on the live version just blows away the studio version. Um, just amazing. And as I said before, all of the vocal harmonies are just fantastic. I cannot imagine how much work goes into pulling off that stuff. And John, if you watch this, tell me, did you guys do any overdubs on any of that live stuff, or was that what those people heard in that venue that night? I really want to know. One other thing, John said I could play 30-second samples of songs, but I didn't want to risk the video getting taken down, and I just think everybody should know about this band. If radio had a soul, Life Signs would be a household name. I honestly think that. Um, this is probably my favorite album so far with listening to these. I've listened to the first one about 3-4 times. I've listened to Altitudes only a couple times because I got that one a little later. Um, I've watched the whole DVD and listened to the live CDs. But I've listened to this one, which is called Cardington. I've listened to this about 6 times since I got it. It went with me on a music shopping spree one day, and I was out for probably like 6 hours. So it just kept on playing and playing and playing. And there is a keyboard part at the beginning of the song N, the letter N, that is. Let me make sure I have their discography. Yeah. So the keyboard part at the beginning of the song N is that gets stuck in my head all day. Um, the song Different is fantastic, and they do a great live version of that. So they were already playing some of the songs on this album way back before it was recorded, and the I think one of the highlight of the whole discography is a song called Impossible. That song will live rent free in my head over and over, to the point where my wife is like, "Can you just sing something else?" That and part of the song Altitudes, which we will get to. Um, so the new person on this album, and I believe there's a picture of the band. So that's John Poole, John Young, Frosty Beetle. That's Steve Rispin, and this is David. I think it's David. Let me find out. Make sure. Don't want to call him Dave. Nope, Dave Bainbridge. And Dave, he came from Iona, Straubs, and Celestial Fire. For some reason, oh no, that's a different band I'm thinking of. His guitar playing is fantastic on this album, and I wonder what this album would have sounded like with Nico, but we actually get a bunch of the songs with him playing also, so we kind of know what they would have sounded like. But this album, yeah, this thing lived for 6 hours over and over in my car that day, and I've listened to it a bunch of times since, and it was just living rent free in my head for a few days, especially the song Impossible. Which brings us to the very last album, Altitudes. And at this point, we still have the same lineup, except for, Frosty Beetle has left by this time, and then we get the drummer Zoltan Sorz, Csorsz. He is, to all you prog fans out there, he is better known as being a drummer for Flower Kings, which is awesome because I just got the 2 Flower Kings box sets. So I do miss Frosty's playing a little bit, but the more I'm listening to this, and as I said, I've only listened to it a couple times. I've listened to the song Altitudes probably 10, 12 times. So what is that? 150 minutes of my life? Yeah, almost an hour and a half just listening to one song or so. I do really love that song. Couple of the other ones, I'm really bad with names. I think it was Ivory Tower or Shoreline, which also stood out for me. But they also do a thing at the end, the Altitude Reprise, which reminds me of how Genesis ended Selling England by the Pound, by going back to that melody and Dancing with the Moonlit Light. And this is the other thing where he said, or where he sings, I could be something better. They come back with that again, and that is also another thing that has lived rent-free in my head. And my wife is like, hey, can you just sing something different? So, yeah, if you're looking for a new band, if you're into prog, especially like modern prog, I'll let you decide what they sound like. You can listen to 30-second samples on their website, and I wanted to talk about their website. So if you go to their website, they have merch for the band, and then for John Young's merch and John Poole, and I believe Dave Bainbridge. And you can buy all 4 of these and kind of choose your price. They have a minimum starting price of £60. So that's roughly, $15. Well, probably about $20 or a little more for US buyers per disc. And just, you know, I mean, this I would have spent $30 on anyway, and especially after watching it, I would have spent $40 on that thing. Um, I did do the $60 or the 60 pounds that they were asking. Um, and that roughly ended up being like 102 or 112, I'm not sure. So you can get all four of these for as one package deal, or and you can also get this one and two John Young solo albums as a package deal. I think 40 pounds is the minimum you can pay. It's just amazing, well worth it. And you know, I hope you give them a chance. You can listen to 30-second samples of every studio album. You can't listen to 30-second samples of the live album, but there are one or two videos on YouTube from that show, and the camera work is really great too. And there is the full live album or title track from Altitudes that you can listen to. So give them a shot, and let me know if you do get into them from this video. And have a good night.